good morning, everybody. Welcome, Hot Takes Goodman and Haertl. How are you this morning, my friend?
I'm good, Eric. How about you today on this? What is it? Tuesday?
Yeah.
Tuesday. Yeah, I just checked.
Minnesota head coach Chris Finch did something I wish David Adelman would have done. Going into tonight's game one of the Western Conference Finals, he went after Oklahoma City for getting fouls all the time, for flopping all the time, and just basically saying, this is ridiculous, and you guys need to watch for it. Not that the referees don't know this already, not that they need to be called out. I'm not suggesting if David Adelman would have taken a hard line like this, it would have changed the series. But I think that is the difference between a veteran head coach and a guy who has an interim tag on him.
I don't disagree. I think that that's something that you need to learn pretty quickly, the psychology of the game, right? I mean, and even if it sounds a little bit like whining, it is bringing light to something that you want the officials to understand means something to you. So, it's good stuff. Looking forward to the Western Conference Finals. Should be fun stuff.
As am I. Before we get this thing rolling, I want to tell you about Roller Auction, the leader in Colorado auctions. For over 45 years today, several Celebrity Lanes in Centennial closing its doors and having an auction for a 3-deck conveyor pizza oven, bar back equipment, catering equipment, pool tables, arcade games, walk-in refrigerators, and more. Bidding is started at rollerauction.com. And to learn about upcoming auctions, go to rollerauction.com to get what you want at the price you want today at Roller Auction. Time now for the lead.
The lead is presented by Smokin' Dave's Barbecue. It is not just the best barbecue in town, it's one of the best restaurants in town. You can find Smokin' Dave's Barbecue in Denver, Lyons, Longmont, Estes Park, and Greeley.
For a new GM, a new head coach, Aaron Gordon gave a full throttled support of David Adelman being the new head coach following the Game 7 loss on Sunday. With that, do you think Adelman has earned the job? Do you think he's going to get the job?
Yes, I do. It's not the right pecking order, obviously. I mean, you think you got a new general manager and the general manager should be making not necessarily. David Adelman is first of all, he's a highly regarded candidate anyway. Remember, he interviewed for the Lakers job last year. So this is a guy that's on lists. He's going to be a coach somewhere. He's already deeply entrenched in the culture of the Denver Nuggets. You're looking for someone that can tweak that culture from the way that Michael Malone built it, obviously, before he was let go at the end of the season. And David Adelman, I think, by pretty much any measures I would have for him, Eric, passed all tests in the 17 games that he coached, 14 of them in high leverage situations in the playoffs. So, yes, I think David Adelman will be the coach, and we go from there.
Okay, let's move to the GM situation because I agree with you. I think David Adelman is going to be the guy. Cronkies traditionally do not pay a lot for the GMs. Tim Conley, it's like he fell into the Grand Canyon of money when he went to Minnesota. Masai Ujiri got paid with wheelbarrows full of gold to go to Toronto. With that, how would you feel about the Cronkies' commitment to the Jokic window if they bring in somebody, for lack of a better phrase, on the cheap again?
Yeah, on the cheap. I don't know. I don't know if that bothers me as much as just the qualifications of the person to do the job. You talked about this yesterday.
Hold on a second. Masai Ujiri had never been a GM before.
Right.
Tim Conley had never been a GM.
Right.
Before. So if you can look at it as, not you or anybody can look at what I just said and say, on the cheap, and all that matters, you hire somebody who's qualified. So let me rephrase it. How about hiring someone who's never done it before? And by the way, if you've done it before, you've probably been fired. So which way do you want to go with that?
That's fair. It's so complicated right now with the new CBA and how you operate stacking a roster or building a roster or changing a roster, that I think that you've got to have some level of experience. I don't know what that might be. I mean, that's up to people making the decision, but you better, they're in a tricky situation. They are in a difficult position to try to trade to add to the roster because of contractual situations that they currently are dealing with. You've got some real challenge. You have Nikola Jokic, and that on it in and of itself is an attractive thing, I would think, for anyone to build around. But when the challenge of building around that player is so severe, it may detract from how attractive this job is.
Dan Patrick, who is widely respected, not to say when he says something, everybody's ears perk up.
Mm-hmm.
He called the Nuggets situation this year organizational malpractice. Now, is that strong? Yes, it is. But when you have a guy who is the best basketball player in the world, and you know you needed to surround him with some sort of decent bench, and I'm talking more than just Russell Westbrook, as opposed to, what they did was we have a bunch of young guys and we hope they're comers and we can, have a foundation for years to come. I wouldn't call it organizational malpractice.
Right.
I would just say you did what the Colorado Rockies did. You built your season based on hope.
A lot has been made, and rightfully so, about the lack of a frontline player, an all-star, all-defensive player, in the history of Nikola Jokic. Still, at the age now of 30, he has not played. Okay, Paul Millsap, DeAndre Jordan.
Way past their prime.
Way back and not relevant to the time that they played with Nikola Jokic.
And by the way, can I throw in one thing about Paul Millsap?
Sure.
He would not have been an all-star had he played in the Western Conference. He played in the Eastern Conference, where they certainly did not have the same type of talent at power forward that the Western Conference had. I don't know if Paul Millsap ever would have been an all-star in the Western Conference, but go ahead.
Well, anyway, I mean, he wasn't at the peak of his powers when he was with the Nuggets anyway. So, be that as it may, that is, look, you've got two guys that you can argue are kind of fringe all-stars in Jamal Murray and Aaron
Gordon?
Aaron Gordon, yeah.
Sorry. Fringe all-star. I don't know if he's ever even been close to being an all-star, at least with the Nuggets.
Well, I mean, I think he's a fringe. I think he's a fringe guy.
I
think he's a fringe guy because, I mean, he was in the list of players for the national team, for goodness sake. So, I mean, I think he's highly regarded. He just hasn't been an all-star. But the point still stands. Nikola Jokic hasn't had those kind of players around him. He just hasn't. And they won it in a time and a season where everything came together. They had depth. This was before the new collective bargaining agreement. They had their roster set up. They had 2, 3 and D players, two really strong two-way players that gave them a little breathing room. And then Jamal Murray had an unbelievable postseason. And they went 16-4 at a time when the West was retooling. Let's just call it what it was, right? The West was kind of retooling, and in the 3 years since, it's been Death Valley in the West. But at the time, there really wasn't a team. The Nuggets were the team. So,
I mean, can I give you a little pushback on that?
Yeah.
The Nuggets were a great team when they won the championship. Not a good team. They were a great team. They were a team that would have challenged a lot of other champions. And here's the reason why. They had Jokic. They had a terrific two-way player in Aaron Gordon. They had a guy in Jamal Murray on a heater, so a fantastic two-way game. Whether he had a all-star nod on his resume or not was irrelevant. He was playing great in the playoffs for the most part. And they had a pair of D3s in KCP and Bruce Brown, and they played suffocating defense.
Yeah. And
it doesn't matter to me, honestly, who they played. They steamrolled everybody.
Yeah.
Because they were just that much better.
Well, and the conference wasn't as good, Eric. I mean, yes, you're right. They were much better than they are now, and the conference is much better now than they were then. Period.
Okay.
I mean, you can't argue that. I mean, it's pretty simple.
I'll take this to another level.
Sure.
And this is a strong term, and I am not a homer. If you take that championship team, they win the championship again this year. If you take that carnation of a team, the Nuggets championship 2 years ago, Oklahoma City doesn't beat them. Minnesota doesn't beat them. Celtics don't beat them. Cavs don't beat them. They were that good defensively. They had depth on their bench. You think that Oklahoma City would have worn out the Nuggets with Bruce Brown, Green, and Brown coming off the bench? Hell no. And they were a great defensive team during the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Suffocating defensive team. What we saw in Game 7 with what Oklahoma City did to the Nuggets starting in the second quarter, and it looked like they had 6 guys out there. There were plenty of times in the playoffs when they won the title, it looked like they had 6 guys out there.
Sure.
Everybody
no question about it.
So I hear what you're saying, and I'm not trying to give you too much pushback. Yes, they won a title in a year where there weren't a lot of strong teams. Kind of like Larry Holmes was the heavyweight champion for a lot of years because he had no competition. With that, I want you to really think about this. If you took that team that went 8 players, played really good defense, Jokic, I don't want to say at the height of his powers. It seems every year he gets better. You have Murray playing really well, Aaron Gordon playing two-way really well. Do you think any team in this year's playoffs beats that championship team? I'd like to know who. Who?
Probably not. Oklahoma City is the closest probably to it.
Oh, the Nuggets would have beaten the hell out of them. It's Minnesota I'd be worried about.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Because I told you, I felt Minnesota was their toughest matchup in that championship run. And now they're missing Cat. Cat gave them problems late in that series. Julius Randle is not as good as Cat.
I don't think they're as good as I mean, Anthony Edwards is better.
Yep.
I don't think they're quite I don't know. I mean, Julius Randle is a different type of player than Karl Anthony Towns. There's no question about it. The Knicks are in there because by large degree, Karl Anthony Towns has helped the Knicks get there. Yeah, I mean, I think that the Nuggets of 2 years ago would belong very much now.
I'd be more than happy to have KCP and Bruce Brown take turns on SGA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
literally take turns.
Right.
But
all of this doesn't change the fact that it was just, and in the East they played Miami. They were a team that probably would have beaten anyone.
Yes.
But there wasn't. But what's changed since then is a new collective bargaining agreement that has totally reshuffled how you have to operate to build a team. That's by far the biggest component of change that has happened in the NBA since the Nuggets won their championship.
It was bad timing. Golden State doesn't
horrible
championship run if there is the CBA that we currently have now. So I'm going to ask you, let's say, and I want you to give me a realistic answer, which I know you will,
Okay.
unlike fans who, if I ask this question to, they would give some vakakta answer, thinking it's somehow that trades are somehow a one-way street. If you were the GM of the team, what would you do to fix this roster? And when I say fans would give me a vakakta answer, oh, just trade Michael Porter Jr. and get some really good bench players. Sorry, it doesn't work that way. You have to think of this realistically. For starters, who's going to even take MPJ? Right. So if you're the GM of the team, what do?
I think that you have to look at 3 of the core 4 or 5 and say, all right, what does it look like if? That would include Aaron Gordon, Jamal Murray, and Michael Porter Jr. We've talked the difficulty in dealing all 3 of them is the same. They're all making so much money.
Teams would sell their right leg to have Aaron Gordon right now.
Yeah, Aaron Gordon is tradable.
He's beyond tradable. I wouldn't trade him at all. I wouldn't even think about it because you're losing a defensive player who can be excellent offensively on any given night. I would not trade him. I would not trade Brown. And by the way, Brown's eventually.
Well, Brown is cost effective. You don't want to trade him right now.
He won't be soon because he's going to be about $30 million a year.
Yeah.
So with that, your real options are MPJ and Murray.
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't. You asked me what I would do to sit and think about restructuring the roster. Those are really the only 3 guys that you could deal with. I would not trade Aaron Gordon.
Okay. So
I would not trade Aaron Gordon. But I would trade either Jamal Murray or MPJ. The problem is finding a trade partner with those 2 guys.
You might be able to find a trade partner for Jamal Murray.
Mm-hmm.
You might. Okay. You're not finding anybody for Michael Porter Jr. I would look at this roster if I was interviewing for this job and say, okay, let's workshop this together. And I would say this to Josh Kroenke. You don't really think anyone's taking MPJ, do you? So he's off the table probably. And quite frankly, I like their starting 5. I do. It's the bench where they need to improve. The problem is with their bench, they have 2 guys with guaranteed contracts. You better hope that Dario Saric gets a great offer over in Europe to leave $5.5 million. Okay, that's number 1. Russell Westbrook, no one's going to want this guy. If I were him, I would take the 3.5 player option. I don't think anyone wants to pay him 3.5. They're locked into that unless both guys say, I don't want the player option. Then you have Zeke Najee's contract hanging over your head. Who the hell wants him? Maybe you find some sucker to take him. Not that he's a bad guy, not that he's a bad player. He's just overpaid. The truth is that the Nuggets really have one option. They have to go into the second apron, period. They just do. If they want to keep Jokic's window open, and even Jokic admitted publicly, this is not the team to win a championship. You have to do what Boston has done. You have to do what Minnesota has done, what Phoenix has done. Yes, it's punitive. Yes, you cripple a franchise. But how often do you have the best player in the world on your roster? Blow through that stop sign. Just do it. Maybe you'll get lucky and be able to shed some salary. Right now, the Nuggets are $7 million under the second apron. You need to find 2 guys, and then let's see what happens with Strother and Pickett and Peyton Watson. Bring in 2 guys, and if they cost you money, they cost you money. Very rarely do you have a chance to win a championship, especially when you have a player like him. No one's going to take MPJ. Just keep him. He'll get healthier, even though he is a medical miracle. Let's really call it like it is. Jamal Murray, hope he stays healthy. Hamstring for Aaron Gordon, that will eventually go away. I like their starting 5 very much. They need two bench players.
Yeah.
2 reliable veteran bench players, or D and 3s, something like that. Caruso would be a nice model of a guy. Mikal Bridges would be a nice model for a guy that you want to bring in, a guy who plays both ways. Bite the bullet, go into the second apron, and go win a championship. If they can get two guys like that, they will win another title.
Yeah, well, I mean, it might be their. It actually might. It is probably their only option.
Yes.
Short of pulling off an unforeseen trade that at this point would seem very unrealistic, considering the contract that Jamal Murray has and the contract, both of which are max contracts, that Michael Porter Jr. has.
And by the way, Christian Brown's contract is coming up, and it's going to cost you $25 to $30 million. He's about to blow a hole through the roof with that contract, and some team will pay him. And he'll be worth it.
Well, and when that inevitability comes up, you've got some real decisions to make, because if you get into the second apron now,
yep.
But I'm with you, man. How often are you going to have Nikola Jokic at the height of his powers?
They talked about it last year at the
Right.
post-game press conference after the season was over. You'd be willing to go into it. Well, you better go into it now.
Yeah.
As a GM, I don't see any way out. The Nuggets have locked themselves in with bad decisions.
Yeah.
Player options for Westbrook and Saric, their fault. MPJ's contract, their fault. Right?
Right.
So
Totally.
those are just three examples. Jamal Murray, maybe they should have waited until this offseason to make a decision, but they made a decision. His extension starts this upcoming summer, or starts this upcoming season. Zeke Naji, a bunch of bad decisions. You know, I would love to bring Tim Conley back, who I guess is going to be available, and say, you fix this. You started it with MPJ.
Yeah.
What are you going to do now?
Yeah, exactly. What do you do now? Well,
And
he
I
would
love
just say,
Tim.
well, we went over this. We went to the second apron in Minnesota.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you know what? Tim has a history, yes, of going to the second apron. I love Tim. I do.
oh yeah, absolutely.
And I'm not blaming him for this, but he never should have signed MPJ
No.
to that, max extension, whatever you want to call it, because he's not responsible for Zeke Naji. He's not responsible for player options on two players you would rather probably not have next year. Is what it is. Coming up after the break, I think it's going to be great theater, game one of the Western Conference Finals, but not necessarily because of what will be going on the court. That's next. Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. And don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corned bake. Man, you got to try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver.
Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Blackhawk have another incredible promotion. They'll be giving away a Ford Bronco Raptor or nearly $30,000 in cash the weekend of May 23rd. Get finalist entries from 10 a.m. until midnight during their daily cash drawings every 45 minutes or by redeeming player points. And all daily cash drawings that don't get picked are eligible for a second chance drawing on Wednesdays, and that can turn into extra cash. Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos, a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
Spice up your next night out at Nola Jane and Lodo. Authentic Cajun cuisine like andouille sausage gumbo with dirty rice, crawfish etouffee, as well as 6 different po' boys like soft-shell crab and shrimp. Come in before or after a game at Ball Arena. Host a party or party on their rooftop deck overlooking Market Street during happy hour from 11 a.m. to 5. Plus, Nola Jane caters, delivers, and the kitchen is open late night. Make Nola Jane your new favorite spot to eat, drink, and party like it's Mardi Gras.
Ever wondered where city and county fleet vehicles go when they retire? Now's your chance to find out and score big. Imagine driving away with a great deal on a reliable vehicle. For over 45 years, Roller Auction has been the trusted source for government fleet vehicles and equipment. Trucks, SUVs, sedans, and more, all selling to the highest bidder. Don't miss out. Visit roller.bid/hot takes to get auction updates today. Your next vehicle could be just a click away.
Everyone has their favorite sports bar. Mine, the Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch in the DTC. Both locations are everything a sports bar should be. An upscale menu with 12 different burgers, outstanding wings, and my favorite, the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. They've got every game on the NFL Sunday Ticket, MLB Extra Innings, NHL Center Ice, NBA League Pass, plus soccer, rugby, and UFC. Sportsbook is a hangout bar or great for private parties. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, the DTC, and coming soon to Parker. They are the sports bar. And welcome back, Hot Takes Goodman and Haertl. If you are looking for a tremendous restaurant to go to, and I'm talking about it's one of those places where you want to drive there because it is really that good. It doesn't have to just be right around the corner. I'm talking about Nola Jane there in Lodo. If you like authentic Cajun cuisine, if you like things that have some Creole flavor, if you would like something like, award-winning sausage gumbo, that is the place to go. Their crawfish etouffee might be one of the best things I've literally ever had in my life. And I could just eat it with a spoon. And it is served that way, but they put it over blackened catfish. Like po' boys, they have 6 of them. And the classic, which is so good, is the debris po' boy. Want something to drink? Well, if you can think about New Orleans, of course, a hurricane is going to come to mind. But the difference is it's not loaded up with sugar. It is loaded up with real juices. Plus, this summer, they have a rooftop deck. Go party up there. No one does it better than Nola Jane in Lodo off Market Street. Go check them out sooner than later. How about this weekend? Time now for What's Trending.
What's Trending is presented by Nola Jane in the heart of Lodo. No one does Cajun cuisine better than Nola Jane. Go see why their award-winning menu is the best in town.
Okay, so game 1, Western Conference Final tonight, OKC against Minnesota. But to me, it's must-watch TV because Michael Malone is going to be the analyst pregame and halftime on site for the locations of where the games are going to be. I am excited to hear what he has to say.
Well, he'll be really good at it. I mean, he's a great communicator. He obviously has unbelievable knowledge of the game, and he proved that in his many years as the head coach of the Nuggets. But he's just a dude, and he's a really good guy to dig. He doesn't have to dig deep, but he can explain things so that people can understand them. And I've always liked that about Michael Malone. He always answered questions, and I think he'll be very forthcoming about things. I'm sure that someone will ask him about how things ended with Denver. Maybe they won't. I don't know. Michael Malone will be coaching somewhere again soon. He's too good a coach not to be doing that. But I'm really glad to see him out back in the public eye, and I think that he will enhance the whole process of the opening game here and the broadcast for the Western Conference Final. I think it's great. So let's go.
If the Nuggets were playing tonight at home against Minnesota, because that's what it could have been, do you think Malone is doing this gig?
No.
I don't think so either.
I don't think so. And this is part of the coolness of Michael Malone. I just don't think that he would do anything to detract from the Nuggets being in the Western Final. I feel that strongly about the goodness and the awareness of Michael Malone, who is one of my favorites, really, just from a standpoint of anytime. He's the kind of guy that, when you walked by him, he would always, hey, how are you? What's going on? And stop and have just a little moment going by. So I always enjoyed that about the guy. I think he'll be really good on television too, by the way.
You think he'd be a better analyst or better head coach? And we know he's a really good head coach.
Well, he's won a championship as a head coach, so I guess I'll leave it at that.
Hold on. Was John Madden a better head coach or a better broadcaster? It could be the same, and that is the road I'm going down. We know John Madden won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But if you had to say, what was he better as? Was he a better broadcaster or better head coach?
God, I think he still won like 70% of his games.
Not
He
the
was a pretty
question I
good
asked.
coach.
Right? So was he a better analyst or a better head coach? I'll go analyst. Why? He's a Hall of Fame broadcaster. He brought something to the game that had never been seen before.
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't want to be as, I'm not saying you're being flippant. I just don't want to dismiss what he did as a head coach. He's pretty good. The guy was pretty damn good. I mean,
Okay.
that's what
I
I'm saying.
think he'd be a better broadcaster
Okay.
than a head coach. So to prove my point on how I feel about him as a head coach, but I'll ask you first. When you look at all of the coaches in Colorado sports history.
Oh my goodness.
Now, do you want to just do pro or pro in college? How would you like to split it?
It's your game, my friend. You figure it out. What do you got?
Okay. Let's just start with pro.
Okay.
Where's Malone on the list?
I would say, doesn't he have to be top 3?
Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Who are your top 3?
Well, where's Mike Shanahan?
Tops. Won 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah. He's there.
Yep. You can make a case for Dan Reeves, too.
Yeah, you could. No, you're absolutely right. You sure could. So I would say Malone's probably number 2.
Okay. I'd easily put him number 2 for this reason. Now, if you're an Avs fan, you might say Jared Bednar.
Mm-hmm.
Here's why I would not put Jared Bednar number 2. And this is not a knock on Jared Bednar. Jared Bednar was fortunate to have top 4 overall picks in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
McKinnon, Makar, Landeskog. He's had top talent. It's not to say he's not a great coach, because I think he's a great coach. We can look at wins and losses for Michael Malone, just like you look at wins and losses for Jared Bednar. Jared Bednar should be easily top 5, if not top 3.
Right.
For what he's done. The one thing that gets completely overlooked about Michael Malone is, and he did something that Mike Shanahan never did. He developed the greatest player in the world. Let's not overlook that for a minute.
Right.
Let's not even, please. Michael Jordan was a great player when he came into the league. So is Larry Bird. So is Magic Johnson. Who developed Draymond Green, as an example? He was a second-round pick. Michael Malone found a way to get the best out of a fat kid who, ironically and only fittingly, was drafted when a Taco Bell commercial was running, because Nikola was probably on his horse eating Taco Bell when he was drafted. Michael Malone deserves a lot of credit for developing him. That's coaching greatness.
Yes.
Shanahan did not develop a quarterback. He didn't. You can make the case he developed Terrell Davis if you want to. Terrell Davis, 6th-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much the same thing as Nikola Jokic, 2nd-round pick. I'm not suggesting Shanahan should not be on top of the list. But that's where, and that's why I put Malone number 2 on my list. Forget about the most wins in franchise history. Forget about the only championship in franchise history. He developed the greatest player in Nuggets history and arguably one of the top 10 to 15 players of all time. Remember, it was him or Nurkic. They picked Jokic.
Right. Good.
He saw greatness and groomed it.
Good pick.
What's that?
Really good pick. It was
Smart
a
move.
good, smart move. Yeah, I would have Malone second on my list, and I think frankly, I'd have Bednar third.
Maybe.
I mean,
Is Bednar here? Dan Reeves should be a Hall of Fame candidate all the time. He has been a Hall of Fame candidate. Will Bednar? I think when it's all said and done, probably. Will Malone? Probably not, which is ironic.
Yeah. Yeah, the good that, and we said this when they made the decision. I mean, the amount. Well, you talk about a guy that left a place in a hell of a lot better shape than he found it. It would be Michael Malone.
Well,
and he found it, Eric. That he found it.
Well,
yeah.
Remember, and that is fair, but he also didn't have the final decisions on who was being drafted. He also had zero to do with, and Tim Connelly had zero to do with the Carmelo Anthony deal to the Knicks. That was Masai Ujiri that eventually netted the 7th overall pick, which eventually led to Jamal Murray. So let's be fair about that.
A guy that they may well try to trade this year.
Well, that
which is interesting.
Well, that has nothing to do with the statement that you just made that he left the team in far better shape.
He left it in far better shape.
He did because he had far more talent. But again, he was a major reason why Nikola Jokic is the player that he is today.
Yeah.
Not taking anything away from Nikola Jokic, how hard he works, so on and so forth.
The first 5 years, he won in each successive year more games than he had the year before. The stretch of playoff runs and all of these things.
You have to sell me on him. He's the best coach in franchise history.
Without question.
The numbers add up to that.
Yeah. I
just think that listening to him be totally candid, as long as he doesn't feel restrained, for all I know, he might feel nervous tonight because this isn't something that he does very often.
Could be, yeah.
I want to see Michael Malone unleashed. I want to see that Nyaka come out and start talking like he talks to his friends when he goes home, or like he talks to his players in that locker room.
Yeah.
That's what I want to hear. I want to hear pure candor and not a bunch of nonsense from Kendrick Perkins and loudmouth Stephen A. Smith. I want to hear things that from a guy who understands it.
Well, I'll be interested to see.
And Kendrick Perkins understands it. So.
Oh, yeah, he does. Yeah, make no mistake. But he has a relationship and experience with Chris Finch, obviously.
Yep.
So, I mean, that will be interesting. It'll be interesting to see because I think the flopping.
He has a relationship with Tim Connelly.
Yes, he does.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's about as strong as it gets. So it will be interesting because I do think that the Oklahoma that SGA's alleged flopping.
What do you mean alleged? Do you really think that's you? When you say alleged,
I think he hunts fouls. Yes.
So why is he hunts fouls? Alleged means you're not sure if it's true.
Well, I just think I'll be interested to see how big of an issue it is for Michael Malone in his commentary when that has been a theme already sounded by the Minnesota Timberwolves before they've even played game one, considering the relationships that he has in Minnesota. So I'll be interested to see how it all goes out. But and first and foremost, and I'm looking forward to Malone, but I'm looking forward to the game too. I like this matchup. It's, I think, going to be tremendous finals basketball.
These are, forget about seedings, the two best teams in the Western Conference.
Yeah.
With the two brightest up-and-coming stars. Although SGA is 26. Jokic is 30, right?
Right.
So it's going to be the mouth against the flopper.
Well, at least we've got it clearly defined now.
Here's the thing. I really want to see Minnesota win. I just do. It's not a knock against OKC. I have family that lives in Minnesota. I like Tim Conley. I hate it when Anthony Edwards shoots off his mouth. But he's the guy I'll be rooting for because you know what? Now he's my guy. Now he's my
I hear
guy.
you. I think I'm pulling for Oklahoma City in this. And it's nothing against Minnesota.
Yeah.
I'm not invested in Minnesota in any shape or fashion, nor am I in Oklahoma City. I just kind of like the family thing, and I don't want to get all Little House on the Prairie on anyone here, but I do like the kind of cohesion that this group has in Oklahoma City. It's kind of old fashioned, and it works, it works. And SGA may flop, but he's a hellacious player, and I think that we're going to see him at his best. I think he's been a little halting through the playoffs.
He's going to have some problems with guys who can play him defensively.
Yeah, and there's going to be
are very, very good defensive players. Defensive teams, and that's what I like.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty good rock fight along those lines.
Now, in all fairness, each team doesn't have a Robin. You have Batman on both sides,
right?
But who's the Robin for OKC? Nobody. Who is the Robin for Anthony Edwards? Nobody.
Yeah.
So you don't have that. You have a superstar without a supporting actor next to him. We'll see. That's going to do it for us. Hot Takes, Goodman and Haertl. We'll talk to you tomorrow.